Welcome, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving weekend to all of you who are watching live, and a big welcome to anybody who is watching this recording. It is Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe, and it's Thanksgiving weekend, and this is going to be a very participatory early show. I've invited some of our guests who are going to be on the show to be with us. Um, but I want to invite any of you that are in our Zoom room because you are kind of our loyal friends, our loyal fans. So I want to invite any of you not only to put your name and location, which you normally do, and I'm right away glad to see Janet, John, Todd, Scotty, Marlene, so many of our regulars. Seeing you guys every week. Thank you. But in addition to your name and where you're from, what are you grateful for? And I'm going to read them. So give us your gratitudes, and we're going to share your gratitudes. Because when we hear what others are grateful for, it helps us to celebrate with them and recognize, wow, it's like we begin to build a wave of gratitude. And I'm going to start by expressing gratitude for my co host. Deborah's on vacation. She's up in Mount Shasta this weekend. And so the wonderful Jan Kaplan is my co host. And I'm going to bring her on with me right now. Hello, Jan. I am grateful for you being with us tonight.
Oh gosh, Scott, it's such a really fun and super great to be here with you and helping and just being here with everybody. There's so much to be thankful for, and so I'm grateful for you too. Oh boy, I love working with you.
Now, we're also going to have a serious moment here. Many of you remember Joanne Shenandoah. She was on our show several times, and she became very close friends with Jan. They were like buddies. Every time I was talking to, oh, I'm on the phone with Joanne Shenandoah. But we got the sad news a few nights ago that Joanne passed away. And so we're going to play a video in a moment. But Jan, you knew her so well. What would you like for people to know or to remember about Joanne Shenandoah?
Well, she's a legend. They call her the matriarch of Native American music, and she's done so much for so many people and so many artists. And just everybody she touched, I realized that it wasn't just me she touched so deeply. Everybody, she lived such a full life, and was her spirit was so generous and so giving. And she helped us get presenters for our shows. We had an honoring Native American women show, and she pulled in all her friends. And she was just so beautiful and so gracious. And one thing that she used to say, as sort of being this ambassador of peace and bridging sort of all worlds, she would say, "We're all buried in the same ground." And that really struck with me. And so, I think her work will multiply. I think people will take what she's done and really carry forward. I know her daughter Leah's uh, going to be carrying some of that, and just may her spirit live on.
Well, certainly her spirit will live on and her music will live on. So we've chosen a lovely song that she did called Missing, and kind of interesting because now we're missing her. It was dedicated to the girls and women that have disappeared. And so here we are with an opportunity. And as we listen to Joanne's music and her song, let's remember her in our hearts. And then we'll come back to gratitude. All right, here we go with Joanne Shenandoah.
And breaking news at this hour, a teenage girl has gone missing. According to Police Chief Stephen Randall, 19-year-old Juliet Palmer was last seen leaving the Stony Brook Mall, with the man appearing to be 25 to 30 years old. If you have any information on her whereabouts, please contact the Stony Brook Police at the number listed below.
This song is dedicated to the missing and murdered Indigenous women. Mason Gwait Disu, our creator, bring them home. On this cold winter night, I recall summer days, the color of fall, and spring's misty haze. Her words echo strong, her laughter and tears. I'll never forget every blessing and fear. Where did you go? I long for your voice. Rings clear in my mind, like a whisper or choice. Where did you go? I call out your name. I'll be waiting for you. Please come home again. She was wearing a dress with flowers in bloom. She was sharing my smile. With all my soul, I miss you. Please find the strength to break free and come home. You're here in my heart. You are never alone. Where did you go? I long for your voice. Rings clear in my mind, like a whisper or choice. Where did you go? I call out your name. I'll be waiting for you. Will you come home again?
Ah.
You know,
Hmm.
I'm so glad we got a chance to see that video because it just really sums up everything she did was done with such class and so much heart, but high production values. And she was so global in her reach. She worked with so many diverse people. Um, so very, very, very beautiful.
Mm. We love her. We miss her. Thank you for playing that, Scott.
Yeah. So I'd love to just
Mm.
invite, we'll go to gratitude in a moment, but let's just take a moment of silence and everybody just send Joanne love and imagine that now that she's in that timeless place, she can connect and feel our love and gratitude. Maximum grace and appreciation for the spirit that we knew as Joanne Shenandoah.
Mm.
Thank you, everybody. Well, I am grateful that I get to bring on some of our friends. Tonight's going to be a very kind of informal Zoom room show. And I want to bring on Andrew and Connie. Um, they are two of our dearest and oldest friends. They have been wonderful followers of Saturday Night Alive. And they are going to be who I'm featuring on my Sacred Sunday show tomorrow. So you're going to get a chance to get a little taste. Just a reminder, everybody, our Sacred Sunday show is really growing the audience. It's all part of being part of the Global Peace Tribe. And tomorrow morning, it's going to be Andrew and Connie and Barbara. And they have a really remarkable story to tell. So join us tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock Pacific time. And Connie, Andrew, tell us a little bit about the remarkable connection between you and what happened 400 years ago and what we're going to be sharing tomorrow.
Well, I'm a Mayflower descendant, as is Barbara Mary Kerfus, who is also a Pokanoket clan grandmother. And we have been on a couple of events recently in the past few days, sharing the inspiration that we carry forth from that extraordinary time when our ancestors, Barbara's and mine, met and created a peace treaty and celebrated a harvest in the fall of 1621. And we are just blessed to be together and see the future of what can be born from us coming together in our hearts now, inspired by what our ancestors did 400 years ago, that's shrouded in misconception and misunderstanding. And Andrew and I feel that it's a core wound in the psyche of America, that we're ashamed of our beginnings, and that there's a spiritual beginning, a spiritual alignment of the Mayflower Pilgrims who were seeking freedom of conscience, freedom to act according to our conscience, which ultimately is where we're headed. In our view, we're headed there. And we've been in a process that seed was planted 400 years ago, and there was a nation built on that vision of equality and justice and abundance and freedom for all. And that's where we're headed. It's so exciting. And what people don't understand is that it's a process. So we're here to honor that inspiration, that seed that was planted. And Andrew is a Latter-day Pilgrim. He arrived here on Thanksgiving Day in 1969.
52 years ago, right now.
Wow.
Day on Thanksgiving was my actual arrival date, which is interesting. I sailed across the Atlantic. The wind blew me here on a beautiful sailboat. So I was a Latter-day Pilgrim. And I ended up with this beautiful pilgrim sister of mine here, sweetheart. And Barbara Mary Kerfus, who's interesting in that she's a Pokanoket. Now, the Pokanokets, you may not know this term. It's the name of the tribe, the actual tribe that the Mayflower Pilgrims connected with when they first arrived. They didn't meet any Native Americans until the spring equinox of 1621. But when they did, They crafted an agreement that lasted for half a century. And it fell apart later, and a lot of unpleasant things have happened subsequently. We're not denying any of that. But the real point for me is that there was a moment there where two groups of humans, and let me say that they were both in extraordinary states of grief. The Native Americans had lost as many as 90% of their members to a plague, a pandemic, literally a pandemic that had spread across the coast of northeastern United States. And the Pilgrims themselves landed, Connie's ancestors included, and 102 of them, and exactly half of them died that first winter. So
But the Indians, the great dying with the native people was in 1616 and
it was several years before the
1618.
Pilgrims. So there are
Yeah,
those who would
that's
like to
important.
blame the Mayflower Pilgrims for bringing disease. Nope, that's not what happened. It was a European disease, but it arrived in the context of an intertribal conflict, war. So interesting when you really understand the history and the facts, and it's something I've put a great deal of study into. And Barbara what does she say?
She walks in two worlds.
She walks in two worlds. She's a Pokanoket Native American tribal person, and she's a Mayflower descendant herself. She's a descendant of Stephen Hopkins. So that must be very interesting to have that blood in one's being.
Wow.
So yeah, I think you'll love her. She's extraordinary. We've known her for quite some years, and she's agreed to come on the show with us. So, Scott, I just think it's super special.
We're really looking forward to it. So
Yeah.
one more time, just join us tomorrow morning. Susie, our wonderful assistant Susie, will be putting the link into the chat box. Join us tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock to meet Barbara, spend time with Connie Andrew. And I mean, just based on a little bit you heard, isn't that fascinating, the history? And it was 400 years ago. So Connie, Andrew, love you guys so much. Thank you for being a big part of Saturday Night Alive.
It's a real honor, Scott. Thank you. Love you guys.
Thanks for having us tomorrow. We're thrilled.
We've only got like 10 minutes before I've got to go live on Facebook. And so I'm going to bring the Wild Abbot Mystic Jerry on in a minute. I'm going to bring Brenda Wade on in a moment. So this is my cue for you guys to get ready. But I want to read some of the gratitudes that have come in from you, our chat members. And Dia, beautiful message about weeping for Joanne Shenandoah. Thank you. Pajanya writes, I am so very grateful for this life, for eternal love, for my family, for my children and grandchildren, for my dear friends, our beloved Creator, for conscious programming, including Saturday Night Alive. Gratitude and love for all. Well, you kind of covered all the bases there. Thank you so much. And Georgetta, blessings for the Global Peace Tribe. And so many people commenting on Joanne and her beautiful song. Dorina Joy, one of our regulars, writes, grateful for life, love, and sharing all of this together, especially these wonderful shows and virtual gatherings full of so much inspiration, wisdom, and magic, music, and joy. Thank you, Dorina Joy. And thank you, everybody, for all the gratitudes that you put in there. John, one of our regulars, says, I'm grateful for my wife and best friend of 52 years and being able to be with her, even though she's not able to be at home. Thank you very much, John. Love you. Last one that I'll read is, well, I'll read two more. Lynn and Leaf, they're also regulars, right? We're grateful for a new consciousness about ascension. Absolutely. And Rachel writes, I'm grateful for my friends and family and for the friends who taught me so much this year that I could be awake to all that has been happening. I'm grateful to Saturday Night Alive with so many positive speakers and musicians and other entertainers. I stay home every week just to see this. Thank you, Rachel. So to get a little bit more gratitude, I am grateful for the Mystic Abbot, Jerry. You see him dancing and moving and grooving. He goes back and forth between Puerto Rico, where he is the steward of 10,000 acres, the Mystic Monastery, where we will someday be doing a show from there. Jerry, welcome, and what are you grateful for?
But I'm very grateful that I have an abundance of all 6 types of love that the Greeks talked about. Of course, we're very all familiar with Eros and the desire type of love. But then luteus is another type of love that they talk about that's like playful love. Okay. And then philia, which is like friends type of love. And I don't know how to pronounce it, pragma, which is the kind of love that you build up with somebody over time, like Andrew and Connie, over time build up a lot of that type of love. And then there's a philatia or philatia. Anyways, it's self-love, right? So we have to have that in order to have anything to share with everybody else. And then, of course, the highest love is agape, where we share love with everyone and everything. And my joy is to be able to serve in this dimension.
And that you do. You serve so beautifully, Jerry. We love you very, very much. And thank you for being a
Thank you.
wonderful part of Saturday Night Alive. I am going to now bring on kind of our keynote speaker for tonight. And I am so grateful she's back on our show, Dr. Brenda Wade, the Love Doctor. I'm the Love Coach. So the Love Coach and the Love Doctor get to come together, and welcome, Brenda. What are you grateful for at this time?
Oh, Scott, I'm grateful first and foremost that you're holding this space for all of us. This is a time when we all know things are fomenting, things are changing, everything is shifting. We've been given this gift of COVID. And I truly believe it's a gift, having spoken with many of the First Nations and Indigenous elders around the world who say we've been given this time to learn to care for one another. And as painful as it's been, because it was painful for me, there have been losses of loved ones and isolation, a lot of things I know many of us have shared. But in the midst of this, you created Saturday Night Alive. And it's been this beacon of light I've been following. I'm honored to be a speaker. I've been a speaker before, and honored that you have invited me to come back. But I want everyone to just take a moment and experience that gratitude. Gratefulness is not just a casual thing. It's an actual practice that has so much power, the power to shift how we see one another, how we see ourselves, how we see ourselves as part of life. And it's that power that I believe this season of gratefulness is giving us the opportunity to practice, to really just soak ourselves in gratefulness. So thank you. That's what I'm grateful for.
Oh, beautiful. And thank you for that initial wisdom. We've only got a few minutes, but Brenda is somebody who just has so much to offer. And so, of course, she's going to be in the main show, doing a presentation. But tell us a little bit about some of the amazing work that, when we spoke yesterday, I was really touched with all the different things that you're involved with and some of the work that you're doing to support this world. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about that right now.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Scott, you caught me off guard. I think what's most important for me right now is working, especially with women, to tap into the gifts of feminine awareness, feminine power. There's a way that the feminine brain is wired differently. So true confession, I didn't start out as a psychologist. I started out doing hard science, studying monkey brains. Okay, so everybody have to know that about me. So I lean heavily into how the brain is wired, but also how malleable our brains are, that we can literally retrain our brain. So I'm doing work now to tap more into the feminine gifts in the brain, the kind of built-in high verbal center in most female brains. I believe is the key to all of us connecting, healing, communicating with humanity. Here we live on Mother Earth, and we have women who have the capacity to become mothers. So there's a time of awakening, and I am very much dedicated in my mastermind training programs, in all the things that we do, to bring this kind of wisdom forward. Now, surprise, men can also cultivate this kind of wisdom. It's important to remember that this heart is a brain. We've got the three brains: head, heart, gut, brain, and we can all activate heart brain. So we'll be working with that a bit later, thanks to Scott's generosity and allowing me to share more of that. I can't wait to share some of those practices, because guess what? There are 12 powers of the heart, and one of them is gratefulness.
Beautiful. One of the things I'm really grateful for are the remarkable entertainers. You know, Brenda, you're representing the amazing presenters and speakers, and we call them luminaries. But we also have amazing entertainers. And tonight we're bringing back Sarita. She was on one of our very first Saturday Night Lives. I think when she was first on, we thought we'd do this for a month or two. We had no idea it was going to become an institution. But I want to bring Sarita on for a moment. And of course, Sarita is going to be performing for us tonight. But Sarita, welcome. And kind of in this informal chat room, what's something that you're grateful for in your life?
Oh goodness. Hi everybody. So many things. I will say I'm so grateful for Mother Nature. Every morning, well, not every morning, but at least every other morning I get out for my morning walk, and just every single time without fail, she's just alive. She wants to thrive. She wants to love us. She wants to, she's just so beautiful. The hummingbirds, the flowers, the trees, the plants, the sunshine, the sunlight, which is crucial for our existence. Yeah. Super grateful for all of that.
Oh, well, we're grateful for you. It's great to have you on the show. Um,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, absolutely. Well, we will see Sarita in just a little bit while. And so I'm going to read just a couple more gratitudes from the audience. And for Susie, our super assistant, I think I understand what you're needing, and I'll send you the link to that in a few minutes. Um, White Feather writes, Dr. Wade, I so agree with all that you're saying, and so grateful to hear your view of what is going on right now. You know, I want to riff on that just for a minute. Um, I think we all know that humankind needed a big wake-up call. Clearly, our industrialization, our corporate mindset was not thinking 7 generations ahead. And we were in a car heading for a cliff. And I do believe that the pandemic, however it has begun, whatever it is, Mother Earth is really trying to get our attention. We have to transform. We have to change our consciousness. And that's why we bring on speakers like Dr. Brenda Wade and all the people you see week after week on our show to help us. How can we transform? How can we ascend and play our roles as I always like to say it, and you've heard me say many times before, as imaginal cells in the butterfly that's going to be the new paradigm. The old paradigm wasn't working. That old caterpillar that was eating too much and is dying, but from that we are the imaginal cells. We find each other, and together we are creating a new paradigm. And each and every one of you listening to my voice, whether you're watching live or watching the recording or watching the replay, you're all a precious part of this new world. So welcome and thank you.
It's beautiful.
And now I get to get us ready to go live on Facebook. So give me a minute.